We are back at Barclays Center. St. John's has already advanced to the championship game of the Legends Classic tomorrow night. Semifinal number 2, a couple of undefeated teams, Temple and VCU. Again, Bob Wischusen here with Fran Fraschilla. Glad you can spend semifinal number 2 with us. A really interesting matchup, and especially from the VCU standpoint. There was a culture built at VCU for a long time. I guess the question is it back?
They have depth. They are in year 2 of Mike Rose's rebuild. Remember, last year was the first year after a 7-year streak of NCAA tournaments that it fell apart a little bit, but Havoc is starting to return. Depth, athleticism, and tenacity is what we're looking for tonight. And early in the season, we have seen that from VCU.
And Temple off to a 4-0 start as well in what has become the much publicized final year on the bench for Fran Dunphy.
Yeah, and this is going to be a game of tempo. Temple wants to run half-court offense, and VCU wants to cause a little bit of commotion in that half-court defensively.
And in red, keep your eyes on number 10 and number 1 because they are both off to a terrific start, although Shiz Alston turns it over to begin the game and then commits the foul.
Perfect example of Havoc right there. Ball screen, a trap, and then loose ball and the foul on Shiz Alston, the most important player on Fran Dunphy's team.
Trying to get things started is Dariante Jenkins from well behind the arc, and Ernest Aflakpi is able to pull it down.
Temple is going to play in the half court, Bob. And Rose and Alston are going to be the 2 key guys.
Rose with a nice little shovel pass underneath, but Aflakpi shuffled his feet.
VCU, on the other hand, you'll see great ball movement and side-to-side passing. And Marcus Evans getting the first start of his VCU career, and he is a great story. The transfer from Rice, who returned home with Mike Rhodes to Virginia.
Forcing one up, in and out for Santos Silva. Shot clock down to 7. Rose from the corner, just a little too strong. Tapped around, and it goes to VCU. Is Fran Dunphy really going to be able to live without this?
I don't know, man. What an unbelievable career. The all-time winningest coach in the Big Five. One of only 5 coaches in basketball history to win 200 games at 2 different Division I schools.
Crossover, the drive, flipping it up and knocking it down is Marcus Evans. He scores the game's first points, and he'll go to the line.
Well, this is a young man that grew up in the Tidewater area. He played at the same high school as Briante Weber, the outstanding VCU guard, who really was the creator of Havoc. He went to Rice with Mike Rhodes for 2 years and came home with him, Bob. But interestingly, he had a left ACL tear 2 years ago. He had a right ACL tear this summer, and he is back on the basketball court. He averaged 20 points a game in 2 years at Rice.
Rose gets shut down in the corner. It stays with Temple, but good defense from Dariante Jenkins.
There you see Mike Rhodes, who was a assistant coach to Shaka Smart. He did a great job at Rice for 3 years, and when Will Wade went to LSU, he was the logical choice to come back to VCU.
Tough catch in the corner for Devondre Perry. 2 seconds on the shot clock, and it stays with Temple.
I've already counted, Bob, 4 deflections by VCU. And deflections don't necessarily lead to steals, but they disrupt your offense.
Pierre-Louis will throw it in the corner. Shiz Alston, air ball, so that is a shot clock violation.
When Mike Rhodes got to VCU last year, he had only 5 players on the roster. He didn't have much depth. He had 8 new players a year ago, but now he's got a group that he feels like can recreate that pressure defense.
Van straight away. Yes. And they're like a hockey team, right? I mean, there will be times where you'll see 4 or 5 players hop over the boards for VCU and just do a shift change.
Absolutely. We counted 12 guys that we liked to practice today.
Havoc gets the takeaway.
Yep.
Van cruises in 5 straight. And a timeout called by Fran Dunphy. Havoc leads to an early 7-0 lead.
Last year, they were 18-14. No NCAA tournament. This year, they've recommitted themselves to the defensive end of the floor. They have the athleticism and depth. And Bob, we talked about this at practice today. I remember mentioning to you, this looks like the VCU teams of old, the way they warmed up, the enthusiasm, and you can see they're off to a great start.
How much of it is getting players that are comfortable playing that type of a system, or how much is it getting players that are talented but getting them to just come and culturally buy in to wanting to play this way?
I think there's a little bit of both. Remember, he had some guys that are on his team like Jenkins and Van, and they were coached by the previous coach, Will Reid. He said to them, "Give me a chance. You're going to like the way we play." And then you add the recruits to the group that was returning, and you can tell, we saw it at practice, high level energy and enthusiasm.
Pierre-Louis on the drive. He is rejected in the lane. Unable to recover was a flock P as it was knocked away by Corey Douglas. Douglas standing strong in the paint.
He's already a 22-year-old sophomore. Some injuries, prep school. Oh, this is good. Not good for Temple, but it's good for VCU in terms of turning up that heat. Mike Rhodes
picks up his first.
Yeah, Rhodes told us today what Corey Douglas was like 6'6", 180 when they recruited him. After prep school, after signing with him at Rice, redshirting because of an injury, junior college, all of a sudden he's 6'8", about 220.
Evans pulls up. Back the other way comes Pierre-Louis. Shiz Alston wastes no time. Long rebound. Dariante Jenkins has it knocked away. And it ends up with Quentin Rhodes. The flock P with the jump hook. And there's still a lid on the basket for Temple. Evans to Van. Gets the roll. 7 already for Isaac Van.
Remember, when they score, they're able to get up in the full court and press man-to-man and then randomly run and jump like they're doing right here.
Pierre-Louis. That's a brick. What a start for VCU. Jenkins. And Pierre-Louis got the rebound. Left alone, but unable to convert Devondre Perry. Dariante Jenkins misses Evans in the corner. So VCU turns it over, but they're pitching a shutout so far. VCU with a 9-0 lead in semifinal number 2. Fran Dunphy where he seems most comfortable. That is in a basketball huddle. I've always joked that this is a guy that if he would just go for a day to St. Joe's and park cars, he'd hit all 5 because he was at Penn forever, obviously. Comes to Temple, studied at Villanova, of course went to LaSalle. 7 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 AAC Coach of the Year awards, 2015 and 2016. He is Mr. Big 5.
He really is. He's the winningest coach in Big 5 history. More importantly, to coaches, he's the ultimate great guy. He's not only had great success, he just received the Dean Smith Award by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association a couple weeks ago. And some of the past winners, John Thompson, Tom Izzo, Don Donaher. That tells you all you need to know. He's a giant among coaches, because of the way he's always conducted himself. I just like calling somebody else Fran. That's why I get along with him.
Another turnover, though, for Temple after the timeout. And we do have fresh bodies on the floor for VCU playing this Havoc style. Van's been hot offensively, so he stays in the game, along with Santos Silva. But Bird now in the backcourt. Also coming on for the first time, Sean Mobley.
And Sean Mobley started as a freshman, and he has not played much this year. It's good to have him back out there.
Santos Silva working the offensive glass with the left hand.
Those two young guys had to play a lot of minutes as freshmen last year as Mike Rhodes began to regain that Havoc culture, and they provided some sparks, but now they're a year older. Bob, remember this about Temple. Rose, Pierre-Louis, and Alston played nearly 40 minutes a game. So the idea is to wear them out with the pressure and the fresh bodies.
Rose, no good. The tip follow, though, is finally there for a block peak, and that gets Temple on the board. Mobley got a three.
That's what he does. He is a stretch big. And I know that Mike Rhodes loves having him back in the lineup.
Here's Alston, picks up his dribble, forces up a fadeaway, and misses everything.
Sean Mobley knocked down 33s a year ago as a freshman at about a 38% clip, and you see how comfortable he is. And Bob, what I've noticed is that the pressure has shocked Temple a little bit, and I expect Temple to start to regain their bearing a little bit, but they can't let this game get too far out of hand.
There's a three, buried by Malik Crowfield. Foul called on, I believe, Mobley. That's his first. Alani Moore and J.P. Mormon come on for the first time for Temple. Pierre-Louis and Devondre Perry will sit down.
You see they're trapping Alston, trying to take it out of his hands.
Here's Alani Moore. Gives it up and turns it over. Already 6 turnovers in the first 7 minutes. And running the floor is Santos Silva. Another timeout called by Fran Dunphy.
Well, we talked about this at the start of this broadcast. Is Havoc back? And right now, I would say right on cue, the answer is yes. Relentless pressure defense in the full court and the half court. Turnovers that are leading to easy opportunities, and this is what Mike Rhodes is trying to reestablish at VCU.
Well, it has to be great to see that return on your investment if you're a player.
Watch this here from Silva Santos. Watch him run the floor now. He's underneath the basket at one end, and he beats everybody down the court on the other end. And one of the things that I would always think about as a coach is I would tell a guy like Silva Santos, look, you're going to play hard for 5 minutes and then I'm going to get you a sub. So give us everything you got and we'll get you a rest. There was an example of him running 94 feet and getting paid off.
J.P. Moorman, the floater is good.
The strategy is anytime there's a ball screen for Shiz Alston, they're going to double him and try to take it out of his hands. He's that important to Temple's offense.
Santos Silva with a good look to Mobley. Crossover by Bird, but picked up his dribble with 5 to shoot. Now it's Crowfield. Had it stripped away. Here comes Shiz Alston. Scoops. Can't finish. Knocked out of bounds by VCU. Temple ball when we come back, but they're down 15 early here in Brooklyn. Fran Dunphy in his 13th year at Temple, his 13th and final year, and something that you haven't had too often in the history of Temple basketball, and that is a coaching change. The transition has already been announced. It will be Aaron McKee that will take over next year. He is the associate head coach now, but he's going to become the head coach next year when Fran Dunphy.
Yes, and he's got great history at Temple and in Philly, obviously. Played at Simon Gratz High School, then a great career for Don Chaney, graduating in '94, first-round pick of the Trail Blazers. Long NBA career, 13 seasons, and since 14, he's been on that bench. And what makes this change so significant, Bob, is that Temple has only had 4 coaches in 66 years, going back to Harry Litwack in 1952, and then Don Casey, and of course the incredible job that John Chaney did, and then equally incredible job that Fran Dunphy did for Temple.
Nice crossover by Rose. Can't pay it off.
You can hear Mike Rhodes saying reversal, keep playing. That ball's moved pretty well tonight.
DJ Bird with a short reverse pass to Crowfield, but he missed the open jumper. Quentin Rose for 3. Crowfield. Good box out of Alani Moore. Marcus Evans checking back in for VCU, as is Dariante Jenkins. Crowfield and Bird will sit down. And Damian Moore comes on for Temple. He replaces a Flockby.
He's a big serviceable player, and he's a high school teammate of 2 guys we saw a lot last year. Malik Newman at Kansas and Wesley Harris at West Virginia, Callaway High School in Jackson, Mississippi.
Pretty good team.
That's a pretty good team because Moore's pretty damn big.
Evans, tough step back. Knocks it down. A long 2.
Now this guy averaged, think about this, 20 points a game for 2 years at Rice. 20 points a game. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Melo Trimble, who had a terrific 3-year career at Maryland. He's a scoring combo type guard.
Moorman picked up the dribble. It's out to Quentin Rose. He finds Moorman going back door. Evans turns it over. Good hands that time by Quentin Rose. Rose scoops and scores.
That's what he can do, Bob. Both he and Shiz Alston can really put points on the board, and this team knows those are the 2 guys. A lot of NBA scouts here tonight to see Quentin Rose, and one of the things they tell me is that they want to see him affect the game with more than just his offense.
Jenkins. Long rebound, pulled down by Corey Douglas. Back outside, Evans can't hit, and Moorman's got the loose ball. Rose got a little fancy behind the back with the dribble. And they will say that that was deflected in the backcourt by VCU.
I thought he just lost it. We were looking right at it.
Alston, tough fadeaway. Rose commits the foul as he bumps into Michael Sims. Talk about great stories for VCU. One is now about to check into the game. How about the impact that Michael Gilmore is having as he comes on for Mobley? Corey Douglas will throw it in, but number 22 in white is one of the great stories this year in college basketball.
It's so cool. He started his career at VCU. He transferred to Miami. That was a cup of coffee. Then he played last year at Florida Gulf Coast. Watch him go to work. He was going to transfer from Florida Gulf Coast. They had a coaching change, and Mike Rhodes called him and said, why don't you come back home? We could use a guy like you. He is tickled to finish his career. He's already got his degree, but he's tickled to finish his degree at VCU, and he's become like the big brother to this young team. I equate him to an NBA team picking up one of those 12-year veterans like a David West and saying, hey, teach our young guys. He got in foul trouble against Bowling Green, and Mike Rhodes said, I wanted to go up to him, make sure he was okay, because he only played 8 minutes, and Mike Gilmore said to Coach Rhodes, Coach, I'm good, man. Those were dumb fouls by me.
Evans drives it and gets fouled. J.P. Mormon picks up his second. And Marcus Evans only averaging 15 minutes a game through the first 3 games for VCU. And in spite of that, still their leading scorer to this point. I would think with inside of a calendar year 2 Achilles surgeries, that's probably just a product of that, right? I mean, if you're the head coach and you've got a guy that is coming off of those types of surgeries and that type of rehab, you're going to nurse his minutes back, for lack of a better phrase?
Slowly, but guess what? As we pointed out, tonight was his first start. I expect Marcus Evans to be this team's leader, even though they go 10, 11 deep. And he's, to me, with this team, he's a 17, 18-point-a-game scorer once he gets those 25 to 30 minutes back.
Pierre-Louis shut down on his way to the goal. Out of bounds with 7 to shoot for Temple. We'll step aside for just a moment. VCU has dominated the first half. Bob Wischusen, Fran Fraschilla back here in Brooklyn. Feast Week presented by Lowe's continues with VCU and Temple, semifinal number 2 of the GotPrint.com Legends Classic. We asked if Mike Rhodes was indeed bringing the culture of Havoc back to VCU. Well, look at the numbers in the first half. They forced 7 turnovers in the first 13-plus minutes to only 2 Temple assists, and they've got a 14-point lead.
Yep, it's exactly what he wanted to see from his team today. And I was so impressed, I know you were too, Bob, with the enthusiasm at the shoot-around today. He did something I've never seen before, which we all laughed about. A great competitive shooting drill that the kids were arguing about who won. He ran over to the TV monitor like he was looking for a monitor review.
Right.
And everybody burst out laughing. It was pretty cool.
Nate Pierre-Louis with a chance for a 3-point play.
Good strong move right here by the sophomore from Roselle Catholic, which has produced so many good players.
My dad's alma mater.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And about half the Wischusen clan grew up in Roselle.
Many of them outstanding basketball stars.
With unbelievable verticals, as you know from hanging out with me. The athleticism just it's in the gene pool. No, a lot of two-hand set shots.
But I understand you were an outstanding cross-country runner.
Oh, tremendous, yep. Yes. Yeah,
cross-country is harder than track. This track, you just keep turning left, and you get back as fast as you can. Cross-country, you could get lost, Bob.
And I did. Yeah, bad sign when the coach sends the varsity out to run your loop in reverse on the first day of practice to find you.
One of your sons, I understand, is an outstanding cross-country runner. Is that true?
It's against all genetic odds. He's pretty good. Rose with the left hand. It won't go. Gilmore finds the loose ball.
There's that energy from Gilmore.
Evans.
Yep.
Jenkins gets a return. And And now Van settles things down for VCU. Evans crossover, way short. Here comes Alani Moore.
Yeah, bad shot by Evans that time. Good contest by Temple, slowly climbing back into this game.
Mormon can't hit the three. Pierre Louis, though, way up in the air for the rebound.
He's got that kind of toughness. He's a good third scorer to Alston and Rose because he'll do some dirty work too.
Alani Moore rims out a three. And a foul will be called on Damian Moore underneath. That's going to bring Santos Silva back in for Gilmore for VCU. And Moore will sit down for Temple as Ernest DeFlockpe comes back.
Feel bad for Alani Moore. He was 4 for 16 from 3 coming in. I was at the Georgia game last week, a good win by the Owls. He had 2 threes go down and out, Bob. So that can be really deceiving when you say a guy's in a little bit of a shooting slump.
Santos Silva puts it on the deck, draws the foul. So Marcus Santos Silva, who was a bench player last season for the most part, didn't even average 10 points a game, but at 3 points and 3 rebounds in not quite 10 minutes a game, he made the most of his opportunities when he got in.
Well, you know Mike Rhodes trusted him because he played in every single game. So whether the stats were not up to his liking, he certainly contributed. Right outside of Taunton, Mass, right? That's Foxborough, Providence, in that area. Southeastern Mass, is that what we call it?
Six minutes to go in the first half. VCU doubling up Temple, and now Havoc causes a timeout.
That's the third timeout they've had to take.
1 timeout left for Temple for the game, and we still have 6 minutes to go in the first half. That's what this style does when it's executed well.
Yeah.
It will drive you batty, and it has certainly done this to Temple in the first half as they've turned it over time and time again.
And Temple is a cerebral team. John Chaney, of course, Fran Dunphy, they eschew turnovers, Bob. So this is not going to make Fran Dunphy happy when he gets into that locker room at halftime. And again, on the flip side, this is what Mike Rhodes is trying to replicate. Remember this about VCU. Think about the coaches. This has been a little bit of a cradle of coaches going back to Jeff Capel, and who went on to Oklahoma. Anthony Grant left to go to Alabama. Shaka Smart down to Texas, and now Will Wade at LSU. This was Mike Rhodes' dream job. He spent 10 years as a head coach at Randolph-Macon, assistant to Shaka Smart.
Mormon can't hit the three. The rebound falls to Shiz Alston, and Temple keeps it alive. Perry fades away. That's an air ball. And a foul called on Rose. Well, you mentioned it being Mike Rhodes' dream job. And some that don't know VCU, don't know the city, don't know the arena, don't know the atmosphere for their home games, might say, well, I would think North Carolina would be someone's dream job, or Indiana, and so on and so forth. Why would VCU be on that level? Go to a home game. Make a trip to Richmond.
Yep.
Go to one of their real rivalry games. You know, a good, hard-fought, late-in-the-season conference game. And you'll then see why VCU is a fun place and why it would be a coach's dream job.
The Siegel Center. Of course, they got one of the great bands in college basketball. By the way, both of these schools on Broad Street, one in Richmond, one in Philly. No, it's a great atmosphere.
It rocks.
Yeah, it rocks. Absolutely.
It rocks. Rose left alone. In and out. Running the floor, Santos Silva. Tough catch. And has no choice, caught under the basket, but simply to throw it back in play.
But you love the fact that he keeps running.
I don't think you could get away with not running on this team.
And he runs.
He's probably a heck of a cross-country runner. 10 to shoot,
I'm
5
thinking
and a
tight
half.
end.
He probably could. Force 3 for Alston won't go, and there's Santos Silva pulling down the rebound.
Oh boy, not a good decision.
VCU turns it over. And one decision that is poor, turns into another as Vince Williams commits a foul.
And you see Mike Rhodes, he told Isaac Vann, no, come back to the ball so he has an outlet. Santos Silva looked up the floor, and he's been better on the receiving end tonight than the passing end.
Pierre-Louis explodes to the goal. He is met and fouled by Williams.
See Pierre-Louis comes downhill.
That looked like a pretty good block.
Yep. Vince Williams, who's a very precocious freshman. He might have gotten a little arm there at the end, but Mike Rhodes loves this kid at a St. John's High School in Toledo, Ohio. Played for a legendary high school coach up there, Ed Heinschel.
Pierre-Louis can't hit the front end. Back to the bench goes Santos Silva, replaced by Mobley. And back in the game as well as Corey Douglas, as he will take out Vince Williams. I thought it was fun talking to Fran Dunphy earlier today, and what he said about Nate Pierre-Louis. He said he gives you a lot of that sizzle. He also gives you some of that, you can't have that.
Right.
So the key is getting rid of the you can't have that, but not at the expense of the sizzle, because he is a really exciting, explosive player. Here he gets the takeaway, and there's the sizzle.
Bob, your timing is impeccable. But he is a junkyard dog. Tough shot.
Evans able to connect.
That's good basketball. Back and forth. Little John. Now, Evans has got to be a little careful there. Officials saw that. They might have gotten him for taunting, but you love the competition back and forth.
Rose tried to force one. Under 4 minutes to go in the first half. And it's still VCU doubling up tempo. Earlier today when we were at VCU shoot-around, it wasn't a shoot-around. It was a run and yell and get up and back and down the floor around, because they were practicing Havoc the way that they wanted to impose their will tonight on Temple. Bob Wischusen here with Fran Fraschilla. And Fran, so far, it has been that VCU will imposed on the Owls that's been the difference.
Yes, and I watch that. You know, you watch it. We go to a lot of practices, and everybody does it a little differently. But what we saw today was of, I would say, a camaraderie and a brotherhood of intensity that I really enjoy. Mike Rhodes is, by the way, was an outstanding basketball player. Two-time Division III National Player of the Year, and he won a national championship for my friend Pat Flannery at Lebanon Valley. Grew up in the coal mining areas of eastern Pennsylvania.
Rose challenged at the rim. And it's out of bounds to VCU off of Rose. Good challenge by Corey Douglas.
This is a good matchup. This is a good matchup. Look at that steal.
Pierre-Louis takes it again and finishes again.
Right now, he's torturing Marcus Evans. He just took that ball from him twice now. Look at the intensity on Pierre-Louis.
Jenkins. No good. The tip follow, and it's an offensive foul on Corey Douglas. He went over the back.
This is the second time tonight he's just ripped this ball from Marcus Evans' hands, and you see the finish. Marcus Evans is a good player. I may not be 100%, but I'm sure that's hurting his, bruising his ego a little bit.
Another foul on Corey Douglas. That's his second. So both teams now out of fouls to give the rest of the way in the first half.
The thing about the great Havoc teams that Shaka Smart had was they were able to maintain the intensity, Bob, for the better part of 40 minutes. I am seeing a little bit of slowing down of the relentlessness, if you will, and Temple starting to get a measure of the pressure, and that's the illegal screen right there. Yep.
Boy, did Evans go down hard. Buried by J.P. Mormon, and Mormon called for the foul.
Again, point of emphasis this year.
Ouch.
Yep, he's turned his hip into the defender.
Let me ask you this, as someone who knows the Big 12 as well, if not better than anyone. Why has Shaka Smart not been able or tried necessarily to take this Havoc system to Texas and recruit to it and run it there? Is the talent on other teams of the Big 12 just too deep and too good to think you're going to be able to run them out of the gym?
Well, Bob Huggins would differ because in the past...
Plus the foul on the drive coast to coast for Devondre Perry.
In the past, Bob Huggins obviously used press Virginia, but if you think about it, Bob Huggins isn't effectively pressing much this year without those great guards. I would contend two things. Texas hasn't had the kind of great athletic guards to play full court. The second thing is, and this is my opinion, I think that when you recruit a Mo Bamba and a Jared Allen, and you tell them we're going to pressure the court for 40 minutes, that they may not go to your school.
Right.
The crazy thing about that is playing that style actually helps you if you're a big man playing the NBA. Not because the NBA presses, but the NBA is a fast game. It's an up and down game. So that style is conducive.
Even for the big men.
Even for the big men. But I think the depth of athletes has not been there the way he wanted it to be.
I guess I'm wondering if you're at VCU, is the idea that you can recruit the more quote-unquote overlooked mid-major kid that's got a chip on his shoulder, that's going to come to your program and just work his tail off, as opposed to, are you pressured at a Texas to go after ESPN 100 kids?
Yes.
And the kids that are, top 15, top 20 players in the country that may not want to invest in a system like this.
You are correct. You think of the great players in this program, the Briante Brevers, the Travian Grahams, those kind of guys fit this style to a T.
And yet Bob Huggins has recruited players that are nowhere near the top 100, often at least.
Yep.
And has won a lot more than Texas has over the past decade or so.
At least over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
for sure, no doubt about it.
I mean, outside of when you get like a Kevin Durant that comes to Texas, just has that one incredible year, there has not been any sustained basketball success in Austin the way there has been in Morgantown.
No, I agree. And again, to your point, the type of kids that have been in Morgantown the last 4 years, very similar to the guys that Shaka Smart took to the Final Four. Temple's back in this game, Bob, in part because they've handled the pressure better, and VCU has been unable to get the kind of easy baskets off the press that they got in the first 12 minutes of this game.
It's a 14-5 run that has tightened things a bit. Coming up on 90 seconds to go in the first half.
Perry will shoot that.
He will shoot it, and he'll make it.
Yep.
And now Mike Rhodes wants a timeout. Temple coming back to cut the lead down to 5.
I just got a chance to see Temple last week beat Georgia at home at the Liacouras Center, and Devondre Perry dropped a 3 that night. Watch him hesitate just a little bit. He backs Gilmore off. He says, I think I'm going to make this. Good shot. Made 14 of those a year ago. You feel the Havoc wearing off? I do.
Is there a little bit of a let-up energy-wise from VCU, or do you sense Temple maybe not getting as sped up as they were earlier in the game and now more equipped to deal with Havoc because they've gotten a look at it for 18 minutes?
Yeah, Temple is a low-turnover team, and I remember saying to you earlier that they're starting to get used to the speed and aggressiveness of VCU. But I would also say, to your point, that I don't see the relentlessness that we saw in the first half of this half. No, watch the freshman get a little bit of Pierre Louis. This is like a shutdown corner right here. Look at that.
Bird handling it so far, though.
Not yet.
Although Pierre-Louis takes it away. That was announcer jinx perfection. Alston thought about it, and he'll back it out. Minute to go in the first half.
You needed to wait till Bird passed it, Bob.
Giving the freshman the benefit of the doubt. Alani Moore to the corner, wide open, and that three draws iron, but not much for Devondre Perry.
See if they go 2 for 1 here. I doubt it because Bird just wants to get over half court. He's going to get rid of it now.
And as you've said, you don't see that in college the way you do in the NBA.
No, you have to be a skilled offensive team. We see Kansas do that a lot.
With the left hand, it is Dariante Jenkins.
Now, last shot, obviously. Let's see if VCU traps a ball screen. Oftentimes, you know me, you've heard me say this, I don't think a guy like Shiz Alston needs a ball screen all the time. That invites a second defender, but here it comes. And there's the trap.
Perry, left alone. Off the mark. And that will end the half. All in all, though, a half that ends for Temple with not nearly as lopsided a score as it looked like we might have through the first 8 minutes or so. As I would have to think Fran Dunphy's team probably not completely displeased being only down 7.
I would say what we say in Brooklyn, it could have been worse.
Way worse.
You know?
A 7-point lead for VCU over Temple at the break. The Owls shoot 24%, 1 for 15 from 3. And they're only down 7. Halftime report coming up. And we're just about set for the second half of semifinal number 2. Either VCU or Temple moving on to take on St. John's in our championship game tomorrow night. Bob Shoes and Fran Fraschilla. Glad you can be with us here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And you can kind of draw a line in the sand in that first half. The first 8 minutes, the last 12 minutes, Havoc to begin, and then how Temple adjusted.
Exactly. 7 turnovers in 8 minutes, 1 in 12. Due to math, and you know that Temple's taking care of the ball better. And actually, VCU has 12 turnovers. So they haven't capitalized themselves on some opportunities to stretch this league. Temple is back in this game because they have handled the pressure. And now we've got to see if Mike Rhodes can turn that Havoc back up.
And also, Nate Pierre-Louis changed the game, almost playing one-man Havoc on the ball handlers for VCU.
You know, it's so funny that you said that, because when I used to ask Shaka Smart about Havoc, he'd say, well, we really didn't, it wasn't everybody, it was Briante Weber. It was one-man Havoc, and that's what we've seen from Pierre-Louis tonight. I feel like having a croissant.
Or playing left wing for the Canadiens as we take a look at Pierre-Louis one-man Havoc.
Yeah, this was amazing, man. He was like, and Evans is a good player, but he was dancing with the ball too much. That was impressive.
Pierre-Louis with the dump down pass, and the jump hook is there for a flock P.
They have weathered the storm. There's no question. Temple is back in this game.
Rebound for a flock P. In the first half, Temple trailed by as many as 17. They have a chance to cut it down to 3, maybe 2. Shiz Alston cuts it to 2.
That's how they play, Bob. They do. They isolate the floor for Alston and Rose, and they'd rather a slightly tough shot, knowing they're not going to turn it over. Alston and Rose can make those shots.
Evans with the answer.
Here comes that pressure again. Let's see if they can return up the heat.
VCU bench thought a flock P traveled.
This is what I mean when I say Alston controls the tempo of the game.
And he draws the foul on Evans.
Shiz Alston, the son of LeVan Alston, who was an outstanding point guard for John Chaney. His dad was a really good playmaker.
Rose, the floater goes. Offensive foul. Evans took the charge. So wipe away the basket, and that's the third foul on Quentin Rose.
See, Evans is waiting right there. As long as he's got 2 feet in front of the offensive player before the offensive player leaves his feet, that's an easy call.
So now Quentin Rose averaging over 18 points a game through the first 4 games of the season for Temple. But he's been quiet so far tonight. 1 for 9 from the field, and now he's sitting down. Jenkins leans in and commits an offensive foul. JP Mormon took the charge. Or checked at a block beat.
I don't know. See, but here's the thing fans don't realize. You are allowed to move sideways and backwards as long as 2 feet are established in front. So in the opinion of the official, he was established. Now it looked like he was moving before the offensive player started to make his move. So I thought that was a block. That's what I saw.
Shiz Alston with only 1 bucket so far in the game. And stepping on the sideline is Devondre Perry. Again, Temple was down by 17. They have cut this all the way back to 5. In large part, it's been the supporting cast. They have leaned on Quentin Rose and Shiz Alston to carry them offensively, and they've got nothing so far in this game out of either.
Yeah, and on the other hand, VCU has gone a long time without scoring.
They've gotten a lot, though, out of Nate Pierre-Louis.
6th steal of the night. How about that?
The lob. And breaking it up at the rim was Devondre Perry. Excellent hustle by Perry to get back in the passing lane. He'll try a 3. He's fouled by Jenkins, and he will go to the line to try and tie the game.
Pierre-Louis is committing larceny tonight. Look at him. He just has a knack for it. He had 7 steals coming in tonight. He's got 6 in this game alone. I thought Perry was really fortunate, Bob. That was a jack. You know, he was about to jack a 3, and he got bailed out on the foul.
Only a sophomore from Baltimore. Averaged 3 points and about 2 rebounds a game as a freshman last year for Temple, but he's been doubly productive, basically averaging about 6 points and 3.5 rebounds in the early going this year as a nice support piece for Fran Dunphy. And he'll go to the bench now, replaced by JP Mormon. We are tied. The VCU 17-point lead has been erased.
The momentum of this game is now shifted to Temple because VCU over the last 10 to 15 minutes, spanning 2 halves, has been unable to score easily.
Van, tough shot. And a foul called against VCU. That's going to be Van on a reach-in. That's his first. So a chance for Temple to take the lead.
Good example right there. Shiz Alston didn't get sped up. Caught that ball in the corner, could have driven it, brought it back out.
Pierre-Louis traveled.
I can't remember the last easy shot VCU's gotten, Bob, that hasn't been contested, harassed, or stolen.
Evans, one-on-one here, contested fadeaway. Well short, and it's out of bounds to Temple.
Roselle Catholic, the school that produced Isaiah Briscoe, now with the Orlando Magic. Other quality players through the years. Chris Silva's down at South Carolina playing for Frank Martin. And Nate's little brother, Josh, next year, you know where he's going to play? He's going to be a running Rebel out at UNLV.
If you're familiar with top-level high school basketball in this area, St. Patrick's, which now has become the Patrick School, closed for a while. Kevin Boyle ran a program there that produced McDonald's All-American after McDonald's All-American. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist probably at the top of that list. He went down to Montverde in Orlando, and it seemed like, at least in this area, when that happened, Roselle Catholic stepped in as like the replacement school for St. Patrick's,
yes.
And top-level college basketball players started showing up at RC. And that is a shot clock violation generated by Temple's version of Havoc. It's almost like the Havoc theme has shifted from one team to the other as Temple that time succumbed.
Yeah, different ways to do it. VCU's doing it with multiple defenders. And then
Temple's doing it with number 15.
One guy, yes. I would take his man and put him in the deep corner away from the ball, the way he's playing on defense.
Van leans in. Can't get it to go.
These are all tough shots, Bob. When Mike Rhodes reviews the film with his team, he's going to see tough shots, but really good defense by Temple.
And now Van commits the foul. That's his second.
But on the other end, one thing I mentioned earlier is Shiz Alston, it's hard to speed him up. They've trapped him some, but like a typical Philly guard, he controls the pace of the game, and he's not scoring tonight, but he's done a really good job of just handling the pressure.
Mormon can't hit the three. Temple still looking for their first lead of the game. Van attacks, scoops and scores.
Oh, look at this. Havoc! Havoc! Havoc is
down!
Back. Havoc!
Corey Douglas. What a momentum swing for VCU. Defense becomes offense.
Wow. Great anticipation. And then the throwdown by Corey Douglas. Take a look. There's the scoop first by Van. And then who's lurking around here? Oh, great play by Sims, and then the finish by Douglas. He can't finish the three-point play.
Hit the backboard first on the free throw attempt. So when Temple finally got the game tied, several opportunities to take their first lead. VCU comes back with some terrific defensive plays, but continuing to carry the Owls is Nate Pierre-Louis.
Say a little sizzle, maybe?
Good hands by Alani Moore, almost created a turnover. Crowfield trying not to get sped up with 10 to shoot. Sims picks up his dribble, 5 to shoot. They whip it in the corner to Crowfield. He hits a triple.
Big, big. Great drive and dish right there. And it's interesting that Pierre-Louis was guarding Crowfield because Crowfield didn't have a turnover coming into tonight's game in 78 minutes.
Shiz Alston, short. Can Temple win this game without Alston or Rose, or maybe both, becoming bigger offensive factors in the last, say, 12 minutes?
They cannot. They cannot. Those two guys, the way Fran Dunphy plays, they get the majority of the shots. That's a charge. Yeah, Van took off from the top of the key. Everybody in the building knew. See, he gets planted. He's there. That's pretty good. And he is allowed to move backwards.
And that's Van's third.
Yeah. I always had a few guys, when I played a lot of guys, some guys that I actually wanted them to get in foul trouble. So,
we need to come up with that list.
Yeah, so I can take them out. They can't complain. I mean, they got foul trouble.
Fran's all foul trouble list with a picture of you with like 2 thumbs up and a big smile on your face. That line drive 3 won't go for Perry. Santos Silva commits the foul. And they're going to have to help Perry up.
There's my guy Santos Silva from Taunton, Mass. I mean, there's a little Gronkowski in there. VCU, hey, Mo Alley Cox. You know, Mo Alley Cox. I think he was. Last I heard, he was with the Indianapolis Colts. Never played football in college. Obviously, VCU doesn't have a football team, but remember how wide he was? Woo.
Santos Silva to the bench.
Of course, Brent Musburger and I, when he was doing Big 12 basketball, we created a company, Tight Ends Incorporated. We found guys like Rico Gathers.
Yes.
And, you know, Jimmy Graham, obviously.
Well, if you're a basketball player, obviously you've got superior athleticism. You've got the size. And so many basketball players have great hands. Because all you're doing is catching and ball handling. And
yep.
It is a very natural transition. Mobley immediately checked in and committed a foul. Only 2 team fouls on Temple, already 8 for VCU. So the Owls have a chance to shoot a lot of free throws in the last 12 minutes. Mobley turns it over. Alani Moore in the passing lane. Here's Alston. He tries a 3. Won't go. 1 for 9 from the field for Alston. 1 for 6 from 3.
You know the good news for Temple? VCU cannot shake this team because they've been inefficient scoring the ball since that 21-4 lead.
Well, if Alston or Rose, if either could get hot, this is a very winnable game for Temple. As Crowfield misses. There's a 3. Alani Moore hits a triple, and it's a 2-point game.
You know, I don't care who wins this game, but I'm happy for him because he's had a number of shots this season go in and out. That one went down.
Mobley tips it to Jenkins. Once again, a chance for Temple to tie or maybe take a lead.
It feels like VCU should be up 20, but they just have been inefficient on the offensive end.
Backdoor cut. Pierre-Louis, the extra pass. Great
nice
ball movement. Wide open, it's Alston. There it is. The first lead of the night for Temple.
Well, the basketball gods rewarded Temple for that great ball movement. The epitome of side to side.
Leaning in and scoring. Jenkins is able to convert. Only his second bucket. And I think that's an official's time as Pierre-Louis is hurt. As Fran Dunphy knows he only has 1 timeout left. So he's saying to DJ Karstensen, that's an official timeout, right? And it is. Bob Wischusen, Fran Fraschilla back in Brooklyn in the first half. At one point, it was a 17-point lead for VCU when they generated the majority of those Temple turnovers. But now Temple has completely flipped the script. Their defense has made this a 1-point game midway through the second half, Fran. And really impressive, I think, and it kind of mirrors Fran Dunphy. He never seems to get rattled, never really seems to lose his emotional cool. I don't know if I've ever seen him argue much less get a technical foul. His team kind of mirrored that. No matter how many points they got down, they stayed in their game plan, eventually handled Havoc, and now we've got a one-point game.
Yeah, and even though Shiz Alston is not having the kind of scoring night they need out of him, he has controlled the game for Temple, and they've played it at his pace as opposed to the all the craziness of the Havoc, the sped-up offense. That hasn't been the case the last 20 to 25 minutes.
Mormon, short. So 2 good games tonight here in Brooklyn, as Cal surprisingly took St. John's right down to the wire before Shamori Pons took over and basically won the game for the Johnnies. And now a foul on Nate Pierre-Louis, who's probably doing the best Shamori Pons impersonation in terms of impacting the game of anyone in this game. And we've got a tighter game in game number 2 than maybe we expected.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point about Rose, he's back. So now he's never seen a scoring opportunity that he didn't take advantage of, and they run their offense to him. Think about it, Bob. The 2 go-to guys, Alston and Rose, averaging 40 points between them.
And Rose has 2 points and Alston has 6. Hook pass to Sims. Grazed the iron. Loose, and Sims has it. Leans in and scores as Santos Silva just muscled his way through traffic to keep that play alive.
Let me tell you something. That freshman Vince Williams, he made 2 hustle plays in 1 possession that will never show up in the box score, but they got 2 points because of it. Great effort.
A lot of traffic underneath. Good hands from Santos Silva. 5 to shoot.
Watch a lob here.
Mormon in the corner. Gets to the rim with 1 on the shot clock. Santos Silva. Back up top to Sims.
Nice pass.
Santos Silva with the left hand. The rebound caroms back out. Dariante Jenkins. No good. Santos Silva to Jenkins. A little tip pass and work on the offensive glass created that bucket for VCU.
Lots of hustle right now for VCU on the offensive backboard. You're exactly right, Bob. Last couple possessions were because of extra effort on the glass.
Sweet jumper from Mormon. 8 minutes to go. And we've got a 1-point game. Dariante Jenkins, offensive foul. Bob Wischusen, Fran Fraschilla back at the GotPrint.com Legends Classic, and it has been a fun night of basketball here in Brooklyn. St. John's survived against Cal, a very game Cal squad. We didn't see that score coming as St. John's had to come from 6 down in the second half in order to hold on against the Golden Bears. And so they advance to the championship game tomorrow night. Who will they play? Well, we've got 7:47 on the clock to decide it, and 1 point separating the Rams and Owls.
Hey, how good was Shamori Pons tonight? Second half, just took over that game. He's done that before. I think that was his 6th 30-point game of his career. He took a lot of those no great shots. I asked one of the assistants who remained nameless at St. John's, what were you thinking when he was shooting him? He was saying, no. Great shot.
Alston with the lob. Rose with the finish.
That's great. Took advantage of pressure defense. It's like judo. How do you use pressure against somebody? Perfect example right there.
Dariante Jenkins with the shot clock winding down. Tough pull-up. Another contested shot for VCU. There's been a lot of those since we got to about the midway point of the first half.
Yep, absolutely. Temple's tightened it up. They've kept their turnovers low.
Rose pulls up. He hits back-to-back buckets for Quentin Rose. It's a 6-0 run for Temple in their largest lead up to 3.
It's interesting how they ran the play out of the timeout for Rose, and let's see if that really gets him going.
And now Alani Moore commits the 4th Temple foul.
Watch this, Bob. You know VCU is going to come out and pressure and deny. So what do? Fran Dunphy, the wily veteran, he runs a backdoor play, which basically alleviates the pressure, and they get the easy basket. And then Rose, we told you, he's an ISO guy. And he gets into the lane and gets his own shot. He and Shiz Alston have the green light to play ISO basketball.
Van, a little too strong. The tip follow not there. Pierre-Louis comes out of the pack with the ball. Rose with a fadeaway. In and out. Taken away by Pierre-Louis. But a foul called as he knocked over Corey Douglas. And it's actually going to be... It is Nate Pierre-Louis that is called for the foul. That's his second.
He does have a nose for the ball, doesn't he? As long as we're looking for tight ends, we might be looking for free safeties while we're at it.
I was going to say, he might have a nose for the ball, but according to Corey Douglas, he had a shoulder for Corey Douglas's nose. Douglas has to go over to the bench because that bump from Nate Pierre-Louis cut him.
Yep, so that's got to be a quick substitution. Get about 20 seconds.
That shouldn't be a problem for VCU as they go 12 deep. And they are going to bring Sean Mobley back in the game.
They trade Douglas's defensive prowess, shot blocking, rebounding, for Mobley's ability to shoot the ball from outside. Let's see if that gets their offense going a little bit, because the offense for VCU, I would say, Bob, over the last 20-plus minutes has been below par for Mike Rhodes' standards. Look at this harassment. Remember, he had 2 of these steals in the first half.
Evans tried to lob to Santos Silva and couldn't connect.
Got to catch that, big fella. Got to catch that.
Floater won't go. Santos Silva the rebound. Scooping and missing everything is Isaac Van. And now Van and Alakpi get into it.
Well, Van double pumped for no reason. He got to the basket.
Little something extra after it was over, as Van with a little elbow from a Alakpi.
Nothing there.
A little stare down.
Van needs to convert that. Yeah.
Van is unimpressed.
This guy's been a workmanlike senior for Fran Dunphy, a senior, 4th year from Ghana. Played high school basketball in Philly at Archbishop Carroll.
1 of 2 at the line. Rose tries to keep it alive. Santos Silva saved it, but it's out of bounds off of Evans. It's going to go back over to Temple with a 4-point lead.
Well, that's great energy by Quentin Rose right there.
So now Mike Rhodes wants a timeout. It's amazing how this game has completely changed since we got 8 minutes into the first half. What a credit to Temple. Abashuz and Fran Fraschilla back in Brooklyn. 21-4 was our score. And that, Fran, took us about a third of the way into the first half. Boy, what a difference it has been since then.
Absolutely. They handled the Owls handled the full court pressure, first of all. Stopped turning it over. They forced VCU into tougher shots. And they just kept grinding. And they've done it mostly without the offensive prowess of Rose and Alston tonight. Although I keep saying Shiz Alston is the quintessential Philly guard who controls the speed of the game. And I thought he's done a really good job of that tonight.
Here he is from the corner. Just a bit too strong. A Flockby, though, on the offensive glass.
That's his game. 2.5 offensive rebounds a game. You saw it right there. And they're going to use a little bit of clock because they get the reset. Oh, the mismatch.
Spinning. Pierre Louis with the left hand. Hit the underside of the rim. A Flockby and Mobley fighting for it. Mobley not only gets the ball, but gets a timeout call.
Mobley is lucky they did not call a travel on him because I thought he had possession of the ball when he fell down. In the eyes of the officials, he didn't. Take a watch. Now, Mobley's going to come up with this. Okay, so that ball was loose when he hit the floor. It's a good piece of officiating right there.
And they get the timeout. So each team now is down to 1 timeout remaining with under 5 minutes to go. VCU has already gone over the double bonus in terms of fouls called on them. They've got 10, so Temple shoots 2 the rest of the way. Temple still has a foul to give.
What I noticed from VCU is with Marcus Evans not yet being back at full strength, 100% Achilles injury, I can't really tell who their go-to guy is. You know, I know Jenkins can be that. Van has not had a prolific night. It should be later in the year Evans, but he doesn't look like he's operating at full throttle.
Was this one disadvantage to playing this many players, that there are certain guys that when it gets to crunch time, those roles might not be as defined as to who you're running everything through?
No, I think when you get to the final 5 minutes of a game, when you play 10 guys, you kind of have your key guys on the floor. And I think we're looking at that right now. It's just that Evans is not operating at the level, you know, that he was. This guy had 2 major Achilles surgeries in, you know, basically 12 months.
Here is Van. He and Evans are the 2 players that, at least through the first 3 games of the season, for VCU average double figures. Santos Silva with the left hand. Yes.
Really subtle head fake right there. He came to a good jump stop. And what that did is it froze a Flockby. He didn't know when to jump to block the shot. Interesting that Mobley keeps guarding Pierre Louis by design.
Off the knee of Shiz Alston. He disagrees, but it goes over to VCU. Right now, the football game's just about outscoring this game.
Wow. And that play is not reviewable until the final 2 minutes of the game.
Plus the foul on the drive for Evans.
That's the Evans they will see eventually throughout the course of this year.
Who will it be to advance to tomorrow night's title game against St. John's? Temple or VCU? VCU had a 17-point lead at one point in the first half. Temple fought all the way back to take the lead multiple times here in the second half. But we're right back where we started.
Yes, and when you think of Temple early this season, 4-0, a tough game with Georgia, but really nobody threw the pressure defense at them like they saw in the first 10 minutes of this game. They weathered the storm. The turnovers have gone down, and the execution, not great, not great. The offense has been sloppy, but better.
Another clutch free throw from Marcus Evans completes the three-point play to put VCU back on top.
You made a great point earlier, Bob, about the bonus. If you're VCU right now, you don't want to negate your hustle with fouls.
Moore kicks it back outside to Pierre-Louis. Air ball.
Mike Rhodes had a lot of confidence in his full-court press because they brought Havoc there, and it paid dividends. Good matchup down the stretch. They've both had their moments.
Sims, the baby jumper comes up short. Michael Sims tries to keep it alive and knocks it out. And we want to confirm that that is the correct call. Ooh, I don't know.
Can't review it.
Michael Sims wants it reviewed.
Yeah, the rule is only in the last 2 minutes of a game where two opponents come together.
On Alani Moore, that looks like a cramp as he's grabbing his hamstring, but his entire right leg stiffens. And they're going to work on one of the primary ball handlers that's been very effective against the Havoc press for Temple. They're stretching him out on the sideline.
Van's got to be careful. A lot of physicality there with Rose again. Next foul will be 2 free throws.
10 to shoot. Rose comes and takes over with 5 to shoot. He will attack. The floater is good.
That's what he does. Isolation game. He's good at it.
He's got 8. Mobley scoops up a low pass. Can't hit the 3, but it caroms right back out to him. Evans scoops and finishes. VCU back on top.
Evans was fortunate. He threw a poor pass to Mobley, who was never really set to shoot. Ironically, it comes back to him and he scores.
Each team with only 1 timeout left. Rose, isolation again, crossover, lost his footing, blocking foul call on Marcus Santos Silva.
That was a quick crossover, wasn't it? Watch the ISO. Watch Santos Silva. He's going to slide to his left. Easy call. That's one where he didn't have 2 feet on the ground, Bob.
And also didn't need the contact.
No.
Before he slid over, Quentin Rose lost his balance. He was going down.
Agreed.
So that was a bailout, but a good call. That was absolutely a block. And that's the 3rd on Santos Silva.
You hate to get mad at a player for trying to take a charge, but if I were watching film with Santos Silva, I'd say, hey, good idea, but bad execution. You cannot move into that driver.
Rose can't convert at the line. Foul called on Pierre-Louis. And that is team foul number 7. The 4th on Pierre-Louis. 1-1 for Marcus Evans. That was a pretty good job of stretching the cramp out by the training staff as Alani Moore is back in.
It was an even better job of Alani Moore going up to Fran Dunphy and said, I'm ready. He went back and sat down. About 5 seconds later, Coach Dunphy said, all right, let's go. Get in there.
1 of 2 at the line. So only a 2-point lead for VCU. Evans is the only player in double figures for the Rams. He's got 18.
They like this Rose matchup.
Rose lost the dribble, found it again. Five to shoot. Rose, straightaway 3. Santos Silva fumbles the rebound out of bounds.
There will be no tight ends contract for this guy because he's got to grab that ball with 2 hands. That ball goes right through Santos. Look at this. You got to catch that. That's a big possession.
I'm not sure he needed to jump. He could have just walled off the smaller player and let the ball drop right in the bucket.
You think about it. You got a 2-point lead. You get the ball back. And now you give Temple a chance to tie it or take the lead.
Are you surprised that Fran Dunphy, with 1:20 to go, and his team getting the basketball, just used his final timeout now?
No, because you're down. You got to get a good shot. He's done this before. He's done it tonight where he got the backdoor lob, right? So to me, if he can run something that gets this game tied, then a timeout is great.
He tells you how important he thinks this specific possession is by using his last timeout to draw something up here.
Right. Now, if he doesn't get a good shot, we're just going to second guess him anyway. But no,
we would never do that.
No, but I think he thinks this is a key possession. We can get something good if we run something, and they've already shown that they can come out of a timeout and get a good look.
Who would you run it through?
I think
Rose and Alston have both been very streaky and really poor at times tonight.
You know, I've watched them play for 3 years now, and in Alston's case, 4. Each of them, and they did this last Tuesday night against Georgia, each of them made big buckets down the stretch. Now, you want a little scouting report? Both of these guys, 75% of the time, go to their right hand. So if that's something Mike Rhodes is aware of, and I'm sure he is, one thing you want to do is make it as tough as possible and get it into the weak hand.
It's into Rose in the corner, and Alston takes over. Moorman. That pass deflected to the corner, recovered by Moore. Moorman tied up, reach-in foul called on Marcus Evans. And it will be 2 free throws for J.P. Moorman.
And Marcus Evans thought he got all ball here. You don't like your big guy like this. Well, that one's hard to tell. But you don't want to commit a foul right there. I mean, that's just, you got a big guy out of control. He's not used to driving it.
Temple only 7 of 14 at the line as a team, and only 1 of 2 for Moorman, so it stays a 1-point game. He can't tie it.
Whoa, boy.
Mobley passed up the shot.
I'd get it back to Evans. I think he's your best chance to get something good offensively.
And here he is with 10 to shoot. Gets the big, caught on a switch. Step back. Got it! The officials immediately want to go to the monitor to see if it was a 3, and now Fran Dunphy is out near midcourt to try and separate Rose from a couple of players for VCU as tempers are flaring. Is it a 3 for Marcus Evans? The step back dagger, and yes, he was behind the line. Got J.P. Moorman caught on the switch.
Yep, and wait till this guy gets healthy. He's operating, we talked to Coach Rhodes today, at about 75%. They'll make that good. They have. It's a 3-point shot. And Marcus Evans, I'm going to go back and just remind everybody, this kid averaged 20 points a game, 1,350 points in only 2 years, Bob. Think about that pace. He is a scoring machine, and we saw some glimpses of it tonight.
And he scored the last 9 for VCU.
See, I think, Mike Rhodes is going to back off to Havoc, I think, a little bit. Maybe not much, but what you don't want to do if you're VCU here is foul in the backcourt.
Token pressure in VCU's world as Evans backs off. Alston.
Nope.
Way off the mark. Long rebound. He gets it back to the corner to Rose. He can't hit. Alston, Sims fighting for it in the corner. Timeout called by VCU. Michael Sims was able to corral the loose ball, and VCU still had a timeout they could use.
Great hustle. That's just a great play right there. Once he's got it, he signals verbally, he gets it, saves the possession. If you're Temple now, you're pressing and fouling. If you're VCU, you work against pressure every day in practice, so you should be pretty adept at getting the ball in bounds versus whatever Temple throws at you.
Overall, VCU, their defensive numbers have lived up to what they have done through the first 3 games. But normally when they put these defensive numbers up, they're winning by 15 when the night's over. Tonight, Temple has gone toe-to-toe with them from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, no question. And Bob, when Mike Rhodes talked to us today, you remember he said, last summer, my first summer, we worked all on offense. I wanted to build the morale of the team. They inherited a situation. Obviously, Will Wade won. He went to LSU, did a great job. But it wasn't the kind of culture that they felt they needed to reestablish the way they played under Shaka Smart. And so this summer and fall, the emphasis was all on defense. And so far through 3 games and almost 4 now, we have seen that manifest itself quite accurately.
Pressure and a foul given very quickly by Rose. Isaac Van to the free throw line with a 4-point lead with 13.4 to go. So any production now at the free throw line just about seals it. And then it will be just don't foul if you're the Rams.
Exactly. Don't do anything to hurt your team right now. You have this game under control.
He's got them both.
Good sub right here. Silva Santos comes in, yes, for the shot blocking or the rebounding, but also that dead ball allows VCU to get settled defensively.
Here Louis will attack to the corner. A 3 just won't go down for Alston. And that will do it. VCU wins it 57-51, and they advance to take on St. John's tomorrow night. For Fran Fraschilla, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Brooklyn. All games airing on the ESPN network, streaming live. They've been archived on the ESPN app. Thanks for joining us.